All right, welcome back, guys. Change of scenery. As you can see, I love walking in nature. Which is what I do, right? I have a dog, so to spend time on him, right? Which is basically a part of the video what I'm going to talk about. So let's dive into it. So the differences between when you delete social media, 1 month, 2 months, half year, 2 years, 3 years, and 4 years. Just let's dive in, right? Obviously, you can look this up at any video, like I delete social media, blah blah blah. Like after 6 months, blah blah blah. You know, they will give you the highlights, but they're missing some parts and they don't necessarily go deep in certain parts, which I will. Let me see if this person has another dog. I'm not sure. Not showing if she does or he or she doesn't. No, I'm not sure. All right. So all right. When you delete social media for the first week, first month, it is Eureka. It is New Year's. It is party. It is everything. You are a addict that just kicked off, and your brain thinks that it is successful, right? Like a month, a couple weeks, that is pretty successful. What will happen? Well, you deleted it, you will feel an instant relief, right? Just like you're taking a shot, but it's just like a weight off your shoulders that you didn't know you had, like the invisible weight, right? Just came down. You were like, all right, I got rid of this stuff, and I just want to have rest, right? And there are some people that already experimented with that, you know, deactivating for a while or those kinds of stuff. All journeys are completely fine, right? Also, I just want to mention this, is that I do not care if you're gonna delete social media or keep social media, but I'm just giving you what I think is going to happen, right? Because my journey is different. I'll talk about it one day, how my journey started. But this is what's gonna happen: instant relief. No more toxic, no more scrolling, because that's the main part, right? No more scrolling, no more wasting time. And some people delete all apps, like they go cold turkey, which I am against, because there are only certain people that can go cold turkey and never look back. They're not most people. So if you feel like you went back and you relapsed to social media, it's no biggie, you know. Don't worry about it too much, you know. Eventually, if you really want to, you can put your mind to it, right? It's an attitude. So that's the first month. Well, after 2-3 months, you're gonna start notice a difference in friendships, right? You're not getting contacted anymore as much. You're not gonna get invited maybe to that one party, or they forgot to text you, those kinds of stuff. And most of you is gonna take it personally, especially when you're a sensitive person. When you are sensitive, sorry, I have a dog, so I always have to check if he's safe, you know. I don't joke around with that. So especially when you're a sensitive person, you are going to take it personally, but it is not personal, right? It is just because they still have this social media addiction, and also it's easier to contact people than the people that are not on the platform. Even though you gave them the contacts, like you kind of prepared those kinds of stuff, you're gonna get that step, right? And you're gonna be confused. So that's the first couple months. Then, because you suddenly had a lot of time on your hands because you're not scrolling anymore, which is actually between the 3 and 6 months mark, you're gonna feel the loneliness, right? Because you thought like you needed this time, you want to do all this stuff, like you were motivated, right? And you had some discipline for a month or two, but then it all came crashing down, right? Like you really feel lonely, and you're craving, and maybe if you just scroll, just say hi and just delete it back later. I'll give you a fun fact. When you actually deactivate it and you activate it again, it will take a week that you can deactivate it again. And that's the toxic part, because they know it's addicting, right? Which is actually one of my triggers. When I realized that was basically game over. Like, I don't like to be played with my emotions like that. So for me, that was a trigger to delete entirely. But that's for another day. Oh, there's content. Up. Okay. So the 3-6 months is tough. It is rough. You're gonna deal with loneliness. Now I'm gonna give you kind of a solution to that, right? People say, oh, you should, you kind of invested time in some hobbies and those kind of parts. But the thing is that is the thing you thought you liked, right? But it's not that, because especially when you are in your 20s, one thing that you should do, which is often not advised enough, like people say, oh, you should travel. But you don't necessarily need to travel, you need to experience. Does that make sense? I will explain to you. So let's assume sports, right? You've tried football before, hockey, maybe you tried basketball, the basics. You did some high school stuff, right? PA, I think it's called. Like we call it just gym class, right? So, so do you think you've tried certain sports, like at middle school or high school? But if you are actually kind of an active person, you think you maybe liked to go back to football because you want to go back to your roots. And like, okay, I like this. I'm going to keep doing this, which is actually a valid solution. Usually what you did before is something you're going to stick to. But that's a story for another day. But you also, let me not rush into things. Have you actually tried enough sports? Like, this is like a test. This is like a hypothesis, right? You're gonna try some sports. You're gonna see how it goes. So some people, especially productivity people on YouTube, they decide like, oh, you need to stick for a certain time or a certain period. Well, there's a lot of variety with that. You have to figure out what kind of person you are and how you stick to things. But this is just a test, right? And tests, we don't necessarily stick to things. You're just gonna try it. Maybe you want to try it one time. Maybe you're gonna try it multiple times for a month. Maybe you're gonna try it for 3 months. Doesn't matter. When you think it's like, okay, I've tested enough, then it's enough. You would know, because you are in your own body. You know that boundary. Well, I hope you do. Well, I hope you do, of course. So you need to try a lot of sports in that example, right? And eventually you will find a sport, because there are so many sports in this world that you're gonna find it nonetheless, and which is actually a good part. What I'm trying to say, that specific sports also give you friends, but locally. Some people are actually going to stick, and This is something that you. That's why is one of the reasons why you shouldn't be afraid to delete social media, because you're gonna find your way, but you're gonna have to figure it out, right? Especially a couple years ago when no one's posting about it, like I had to do it raw. So because those people that quit it or never started even, they don't even post, right? They do nothing. They just live. They don't care. Like, just gonna be honest, I do not care too much. I'm just talking about, maybe one day you're gonna see it and you're gonna find it helpful inside, right? All right, so let's continue. The 6 month and 1 year mark, you kind of got used to it, right? And you try some hobbies, you got a little bit dealt with the loneliness, you had a relapse and you tried it again, right? No biggies. So what's the difference? Well, you have more in-depth relationship because you invested more, you were more present. Well, I hope you've been more present. You actually got some confidence. So this is the most important part. This happens between the 6 month and the 1 year mark. Your confidence is slowly gaining back and you will notice the difference. Because social media is going to make you insecure, even though you know it's fake. There's certain biases on play that will make you insecure. You think that's the standard because that's what you see, which is called osmosis. You know, it will rub off on you. So that's why what you don't see is what you don't hear, right? So you wouldn't care less. So that's one of the parts what I've talked about being local. You cannot care what you don't know. And it cannot hurt, right? Sometimes what you don't know is a good thing, you know. Be unaware of certain things because it can bring unhappiness when knowing too much. So for things that is not your battle, right? So the confidence came back, right? As a girl, maybe actually your confidence got lower because you were used to getting a certain attention and the entertainment didn't came back, and that's the point that some girls actually gave up, you know. They was like, I'm just gonna have it, I'm not gonna post a lot. They try to have a healthy relationship, but those people will never get out, right? I'm not saying relapsing doesn't mean you're not getting out, that's not what I'm saying, but if you think that way, then no, you're not gonna get it, right? So the 1 year and the 2 year mark, now you kind of get used to it, right? You're like, okay, this is it, this is the path I've chosen. I've got some confidence, I've tried certain things, I'm way happier. Now what? Well, at this time, which they don't talk about it a lot, you need actually have it's like quiet in your brain, in your head, but it's also in a healthy manner. And that's why how you actually can think more rationally, more logically. It's like I did walk him like already. This is the 4th time I'm walking, but you know. I did. This is called zooming for my dog. So usually young dogs, especially puppies, they zoom because they want to release their energy that they have left from the day. So he didn't burn it all up, so now he's trying to burn it all up. All right, getting back to it. So now you actually have time to think, and we're just gonna slowly introduce something that I've learned from a YouTuber called C.S. Joseph. C.S. Joseph is an MBTI researcher. You can, because it's considered pseudoscience, I want to be careful with my words. But basically, he has a lot of content about MBTI, how to type, Here. Good boy. Good boy. Go. If you're interested in that, you can check his channel. It's called CS, like from computer science, CS Joseph. And he talks about the 4 pillars, which is something you should implement by now, or actually should have implemented by now, between a 1 year and 2 year mark, which is you need to set your needs correctly, your boundaries correctly, your standards correctly, and what kind of respect you think you deserve correctly, right? So I'm gonna explain it briefly, and I think I'm gonna put it into my YouTube channel description, but I'm gonna promise you that just look up CS Joseph and just 4 pillars with the number 4 pillars. He will he talks about it specifically. He's very good at explaining it, but I'm gonna give a brief explanation. So to be a confident person, or be a person that self-respects, or being a person that you should be, you need to have certain things in order, which calls about the needs. What kind of needs do you have? You know, maybe you have a need to socialize a lot. Maybe you have a need to only have a monogamous relationship. Maybe you want to have a polyamorous relationship, right? So those kinds of stuff, right? What are your needs? And not only with relationships, also needs when it comes from what is your need to have, how much money you want to earn, right? Compared to the rent you pay and food you pay and those kinds of stuff. You know, I'm not going to say, my standard, my need is to be a millionaire. You know, that is something I won't sleep well, right? But there are some people that won't sleep well, but then you have a lot to do, right? So then especially never go back to social media, right? So that's about the needs, right? And then let's talk about the standards. So your standards is something you're willing to commit. This is what you want, right? You do not want certain things in your life. Like, for example, your standard is that I want to have all my groceries within a 2-mile radius, right? Which is actually a healthy boundary, because if things are too far, los. Good boy. Lopen. Oh, okay. Los. Lopen. Los. Los. Dankjewel. Alright. Let's walk. Dogs will challenge you, right? Especially when you are busy. So the standards, you need to have a certain standard. Maybe you your standard could also be attached with the values, morals and ethics you have, right? And this is how you would like to see for yourself, because that's the difference between a standard and a boundary. Your boundary is for other people, your standard is for yourself. So let's talk about boundaries. So there are certain things you would not take, right? You would not date a certain person that you know that's going to be bad for you or doesn't actually fit you. Most of people, they get confused by that. It's really hard, you know. It's all good, right? So you need to set the boundaries, and the boundaries comes a lot with communication. So standards of communication with yourself, boundaries a lot of communication with others. You need to let them know what kind of boundaries you have, especially with certain people. If you cross the boundaries, they go crazy, right? So then the standard of respect, right? So when you have those 3 pillars, the 4th pillar is like the bonus. you will get the respect from people because you are communicating well to other people what you want, the needs you have, what kind of standards you have, because they're gonna see the standard, right? They're gonna see like, okay, he's this kind of person, so they have assumption like, I'm gonna assume that he doesn't like that, so they automatically give more boundaries. So they will have a certain boundaries, especially when you communicate them like, hey, I want to be home at a certain time, right? And if you cross that line, then there's going to be an argument, right? It's a really controversial topic, but about that. So when a person comes on time, that's a sign of respect. Like, okay, I respect you because I want to eat with you together, right? That's a sign of respect. And you also get your needs met, so they are going hand in hand. So that's between the 1 and 2 year mark. Now, when you have figured that out, then the 2 and 4 year mark shows up, which is you are confident now. You kind of forgot about social media, how it exists. You see people have social media while holding the phone, you're like, nah, I'm good, you know, like kind of forgot about this world. And sometimes you have people showing you a video, but you won't necessarily get attached anymore. Even though you scroll their phone for like 5 minutes, you're like, I'm glad I'm not missing that nonsense, right? And then the most important part, you start to implementing, when you have set the standards of the 4 pillars, you start actually implementing and getting the benefits. You reap the benefits of the person what you want to be. And then well, I hope you do, like some journeys are harder than others, but at least you won't get biased as much as you think anymore, because you don't know what you don't know, right? It's all good. So hope that helps. Next time maybe I'm gonna talk about my story, but maybe not. Maybe I'm gonna talk about TikTok or Facebook specifically. I'm not sure yet. It really depends on what kind of topic that comes up. But when you watch other people's video, they give you the benefits of certain years. But hopefully, this timeline that I just gave you is what you should do and what you should expect. I'm not that to say like, oh, don't watch this guy or people video. No, look, just watch them. But I hope you watch this video and then you realize, okay, this is kind of what's waiting for me, right? This is what's on the other side, right? So yeah, hope it helps. I'm gonna eat my dinner. Just came back from work. All right, stay strong. Bye.